Good afternoon, everybody. It is that. So, welcome to this edition of State of the Castle as we wrap up towards the end of September. I cannot believe it. We're into the fall season, or autumn, I guess is probably the more appropriate term. If we don't want falls. Autumn. And so, again, I hope everybody's enjoyed the first couple of Packer games and things of that nature and are ready to, what's that?
Well, one of them.
One of them, exactly. Thank you, Joe. But we have a pretty full agenda, so if you're okay, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to lead off actually with everybody knows the individual, Mike Brewer. Quick trivia with Mike is a hit. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
It's nice when your competition recognizes the.
I didn't know that was Mike.
I just have a couple of things to share with you today. First of all, if you've never had the pleasure of doing so before, the Treasure Chest Scholarship Committee has recently completed their deliberations. 5 of your neighbors sat and reviewed applications from 13 individuals. This is what they looked at over a period of about 2 weeks. A lot of deliberation and a lot of hard work went into that. I'm pleased to say that we were able to award 11 scholarships, 9 of them immediately, and 2 additional scholarships for January. If you know these individuals, you may want to congratulate them next time you see them. Molly Neistat, Liberty Ansorge, Elise Gloss, Gerald Vertanian, Annalie Guerrero Cardenas, Sydney Lisso, Sheila Fossum, Gina Reich, and Malia Clay were all issued $1,200 scholarships in September. In addition to that, Nicole Wagoner and Mary Hoffman have been awarded scholarships in January. They were delayed because they have not worked for us for 6 months yet. If they're still employed with us in January and they are still students, they will automatically qualify for a scholarship. What we ended up doing with the 9 scholarships that we awarded, $10,800 was dispersed in September. We will award an additional $2,400 in January if those 2 individuals are still here, for a total of $13,200 that we are awarding in scholarships right now because of all the hard work of you and your neighbors, your donations to the scholarship, you're working at the at the Treasure Chest, you're working at the Treasure Chest, you're buying things at the Treasure Chest. That's what has funded all of this, and my thanks to all of you. For those of you that are wondering what that does for us as we start planning for next year, we currently have $5,690 in our account, $2,400 of which is spoken for in January, leaving us $3,290 to jumpstart next year's scholarships with. So we've already got a good beginning towards an allocation for next September. We're hoping to be able to equal this year's allocation or exceed it. Remember, we've been able to award $13,000 in a pandemic year. Sales are tremendously reduced from what they've been in previous years, so we're very pleased with the success that we've had. For those of you that are curious what that means in terms of the impact that the Treasure Chest and its scholarship fund has had long term, we have now had 4 allocations of scholarships since the Treasure Chest opened. 35 student employees were awarded scholarships in the 4 allocations. $37,400 has been distributed in scholarships to the people who care for your needs every day. So I hope you're proud of the success that the Treasure Chest has achieved, and it's because of all of you. So thank you very much. If anybody has any questions about any of that, I encourage you to see me anytime. I'm up on the 2nd floor, just down from the beauty salon. There are a couple other things I wanted to mention. First of all, I think you all know, because of the effort of Barb Hill, that the Employee Appreciation Fund kicks off October 1st. It will wrap up the first week in December. I don't want to step on Barb's toes because I think that her letter that went out earlier this week was self-explanatory. If you have any questions about it, I encourage you once again to see me or see Barb. They'd be able to answer any questions that you have. Again, a soft launch this week with Barb announcing that it was coming. It really kicks off on October 1st and it wraps up the first week in December so that we can award the appreciation fund allocations to the hourly employees that we have. Last but not least, I want to thank all of you that came on the Edelweiss cruise a week and a half ago. I hope you all had a good time. So, it was a good time because we got to share the time with all of you. And for those of you that are wondering what that means for the future, yes, we are still in a pandemic. All of you are fully vaccinated. So we are still looking at doing other things if we can provide a safe environment to do so. The exact details are not yet resolved, but sometime in February we have a paint and sip that we are planning that we will take people to. Hopefully you'll have a wonderful evening with that. Details to come in a couple of months, I think, on that. And last but not least, just 3 days ago I had lunch with one of my old friends from my PBS days who is helping our committee here, Maureen and Anna, myself and Laura, plan next year's big outing, something comparable to the Edelweiss. So that is already in the works. Are there any questions I can answer for anybody?
I would just like to make a comment. In the obituaries on Sunday, one of our residents mentioned donate to the scholarship fund. So.
That is right. The family of June Seaman referenced in the obituary for June that the Treasure Chest Scholarship Fund is the charity of choice in lieu of flowers for people. And we're very, very grateful. We've already received some donations as a result of that. So we're very grateful to the family of June. We've all lost a loved one, but it's a wonderful way to remember her contributions over the years to East Castle Place as well. And it's not the first time. Other loved ones from here at East Castle have had families that have selected the Treasure Chest Scholarship Fund as the recipient of donations in lieu of flowers. So we're very grateful when people think of that. It provides a direct benefit here at East Castle, and we're very grateful. Katie?
And if we give the check to you, you can get it to the Seaman family?
If you get the check to me, the Seaman family is notified of everybody who donated. The Seaman family will receive, I mean, let's say 10 people donate, and I'm going to make up a number. Let's say 10 people donate a total of $500. The Seaman family would receive a letter from me indicating that 10 residents at East Castle donated a total of $500, and it will detail all of the residents so that if they choose to send out an individual thank you to the residents, they'll know who donated. But they will not know that Ann Jones donated 25 and Sue Smith donated. It doesn't work that way. They receive a cumulative amount. Any other questions I can answer for people? Okay, next, Eric Peterson, your facilities update.
Thank you, Mike. Going through a couple of questions. One of which was, when are the parking lots going to be gated? And what will the visitors park? So we've been working on gating the parking lots. There's some security issues. When I say gating the parking lots, mainly the entrance off of Bradford Avenue into the Bradford Terrace parking service lot. So we've been working on that since early July. We are still waiting for some materials to arrive before that would commence, and we just received some notice that that might be pushed back a little bit based on the availability of supplies. We're going to kind of address exactly the hows and the wheres and the visitor parking once that gate is closer to installation, because we can kind of nail down some of those details. But right now, what I can tell you is it's, purchase orders have been cut, and we're waiting for those supplies to arrive so that the contractors can get started. But We were targeting October, now it looks like it might be early November, so we're just kind of trying to be patient and hope it gets done before we see snow. The next question was, are there plans to paint the hallways and doors to deal with the scratches, gashes, dirt, and etc.? Yes, there are plans. So our painters are going around doing the individual ones we do get work orders for, because we can target those requests. Some people like the shelf outside their door painted, they put in work orders and we try to respond to those. Sometimes it's painting in your units that we try to respond to as well. But specific to whole house painting, we're going to be addressing that this winter when some of the hustle and bustle of the summer season slows down, and we can address kind of painting the entirety of the hallways, because there's a fair amount of it all over the place. I wish I could say we would just, it is hard painting those things, because sometimes it takes all of us, it's the residents, it's the families, it's contractors, it's the staff that work every day to make sure once we do paint it, we keep it looking nice and looking that way. We do an awful lot of painting, sometimes it can be hard to tell what we painted because it does get marred up from a lot of use. But the specific answer is this winter, kind of first quarter of next year. Next question was, do our wash machines have lint filters? Where? And do they get cleaned out? So in your units, the answer is no. There is no filtration of any lint going into the main drain. We do have a filter down in the basement before it hits the lift station, takes it out to the street drains. We take care of that because we have a commercial laundry here as well. So we have to make sure we keep those up, because otherwise it just clogs up the pumps. But in many cases, some of the lateral drains just drain up to the street. But for the most part, we take care of it in our mechanical room. So nothing to be worried about in your room at all. Last question was the door leading from the back alley, so that's kind of out in front of the water tower building. There's a gate entrance that comes into the courtyard there. Apparently over the past month, a couple times that's been found unlocked. So I've spoken with security to make sure they are physically touching that door to make sure that it's locked, because it looks like it's locked all day until you open it. So we'll be checking that more frequently, but kind of the bigger concern is many of us have outdoor keys. If you spin those keys a certain way, you can unlock some of the locks. So it's just reminding everyone who does have keys that comes in and out of the courtyards, even the doors that go into the courtyard here, that we're being careful to kind of make sure those are locked behind us, because we want to make sure that we're keeping things secure. Those are the questions. Or any larger questions? If there's smaller ones, I can take those afterwards too. Please.
When you're putting the gate across the parking lot entrance, what happens to the exit that goes out to Downer?
That doesn't seem to be an issue where specific to your question, we're not putting a gate in that going out to that area. To get in a little bit into the weeds of it, it gets a little bit touchy with where we put that gate and what approvals we need to receive from the Historical Society, because that is the historic water tower area. So we have to be a little bit more careful about where that's placed. But specific to our problems, because we have had cameras to identify who and where and what. The problem is it's all post-incident. So we are finding that everybody that we're having issues with is coming off of Bradford. So we're hoping that is enough of a deterrent, because I can tell you when I started here 2 years ago, it looked like a nice, welcoming, friendly place, and I never really heard of anything like that. And it wasn't until the past 12 or 18 months it's really just skyrocketed. So we're trying to combat that issue. Yes?
So will the gate that you install on Bradford, will need a fob obviously to get in?
That's what we're trying to, not necessarily.
But we also would need one to get out, because...
It would just be a proximity sensor on the inside.
But then somebody can walk in from a Catholic home, steal a car and drive it off the lot.
You're right, but though based on the videos, that's not how we're being, attacked, if you will. Every video we've had, they're driving on the lot with a previously stolen vehicle off of Bradford, and they're stealing a vehicle. There's 4 people in the car, 2 hop out, steal a new vehicle, and they drive off together. It is the same thing every time, unfortunately. And I from what the police tell us, I believe it's a lot of the same individuals, unfortunately. I think that's why we're a target. And as Tyler, I'm sure, has spoken to, when we talk to the Catholic home, who's a stone's throw away, they don't have the problem. And they got entrances all over the place, and they're not having an issue. And that's why, we could lock this place down like a prison, but I don't know if that really speaks to the East Castle appeal. And I don't know if that's really where we want to go, because one, it's an appearance thing. 2, you could go wild with cost on those things. It's really kind of shocking, to be honest with you. But I think right now it's more of an escalation thing. you know, you take it and we're addressing the specific issue of, you know, in coordination with the police department, kind of where we're finding our access point and where it seems to be an issue, seeing if we can do something of a deterrent to keep them from coming onto the lot. Because you can do a lot of things, you're right. We talked about a gate and other gates, and now you can go up to the contemporary entrance and walk through that way. You could walk across a lot of ways. So again, you can get really wild with it, but I think what we're trying to do is combat a specific issue, so we're trying to attack that specifically. So, but trust me, I can tell you, we definitely talk a lot about all of it, and I think we'll continue to keep it as a priority. Yeah.
Another shot,
Of course.
going in and out of the garage doors stay open for an awfully long time. Are we looking for trouble coming in there? Is there any issue with that? And the other place we've lived had a fairly long door opening, and all of a sudden, we had people rolling under cars and things to get into the garage or to get into steel bikes and things. And it seems to me that those doors could come down a little quicker.
You know, yeah, you're right. You could look at it either way. A lot of times what you're speaking to is they call them like tailgating. I've seen it in other properties where some individual tailgates somewhere inside. Sometimes it's on foot, not just necessarily in a car. And you can add issues. But then you do run into the same problem with all of a sudden it closes too quickly, and then we have people driving into it, and then we have temporary outages where the garage isn't accessible. I've been around all sides of it. I think we can look at it and kind of see maybe how long it's taking. A good look, hard look. Is it too long? I think is maybe the way to approach it. And if we feel it is, we can shorten that duration if the door is held open. We do have, you know, laser eyes that are about waist high that prevent it from closing on your car, but sometimes it's, you know, sometimes that turn out is a little challenging. So how fast we have those doors closed, I don't know if we're making new issues, but I will make sure we take a look at it and kind of address it. Any other questions? All right, thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, yes, it is autumn, and we have some things planned for the month of October and November, and I'm going to go over some of those and take any questions afterwards. First of all, we're having our fall color ride starting in October. We're not sure if October 10th is that magical date. We keep talking about October 10th as being like the farmer's almanac for when color's going to be at its peak, but we're taking a fall color ride to Cedarburg on Thursday, October 7th. It's going to be lunch in Cedarburg, and then we're going to stop at some type of apple orchard, pumpkin farm then. Our second fall color ride is going to be West Bend on Thursday, October 14th. It's also going to be lunch in West Bend. Scott's from West Bend, and he knows a really nice place for us to go to lunch. And then again, we'll stop at an apple orchard, kind of a pumpkin farm type thing like that. So what we're asking is, if you sign up for one, sign up for your favorite one, but don't sign up for both. These are usually very popular. We can fit 14 people on a bus. If need be, we'll take a second one, but it really helps us out if you can choose either West Bend or Cedarburg, and then we can accommodate as many residents as possible. If that's the case, if everything's perfect, then we have 28 residents going on our fall color rides, which is great. Something that we've discussed for a while in our lifestyle committee is dinner at Pitches. Now, I don't know where Pitches is, right? I'm getting some nods. Supper Club, it's in our neighborhood. It's open for dinner, so we're going there on Wednesday, October 13th at 5 o'clock for dinner at Pitches, so you won't want to miss that. Another idea from our community life committee is Tupelo honey. I don't know if you're familiar with the southern cuisine of Tupelo honey, but that's going to be lunch on October 21st at 11 o'clock. And then finally, lunch at Emperor of China on Brady Street. For those of you who are interested in, yep, I've seen some good Chinese food. That's on October 27th. So we have our two lunch outings and our one dinner outing. And if you have any suggestions for new restaurants in Milwaukee or cuisines that you're interested in as well, don't hesitate to leave me a voicemail message or something in my mailbox, because we're always looking for new and interesting places. A couple dates for you to know about. We are making our cherry dill pickles in the month of October. For those of you who don't know what that is we sell cherry dill pickles, and they're called cherry dill pickles because they taste like cherries, but that's not the ingredient that we put into it. It's a secret recipe that dates back to the 20s and 30s. That's how long they've been making these pickles at East Castle Place. So on Saturday, October 2nd, from 9:30 until 3:30, we're going to be making the pickles in the Creativity Center. So we're asking you to help us do the cutting and the stuffing of the jars and the brine. They're refrigerator pickles, so they need to be in the refrigerator for 2 months, and then we sell them at Christmas at the Castle, which is our big Christmas event. Speaking of which, we have our date for Christmas at the Castle, and that is Sunday, December 5th from 3:30 until 6:30. 3:30 till 6:30. So that will include some type of tea or silver tea. The choir will perform a short segment of their Christmas concert, and we're looking into some of the sales that we've had, and we've been in talk with some people of the treasure chest items. Mike, you and I can catch up with that later on to talk about some ideas that we have for Christmas at the Castle. Our very popular decorated pumpkins, carved pumpkins, will be out the week of Halloween. So you'll see those in the hallways, and that's our employee extremely competitive pumpkin decorating contest, which we've had year after year. I think this is our 5th or something like that. I think, Tyler, right about the time you came around, 4th. It's our 4th year. We're going to have a Halloween costume party on Friday, October 29th, so start planning your costume. That is also very competitive. We have the funniest costume, the scariest costume, and the best of show. So, it's lots of fun. We'll have that in Lindsay Hall, and this hall gets transformed into Lindsay Haunted Hall with lots of spider webs and things like that, so it's a fun day for us. Thanks to Katie Phillips, we are planning Packer potluck socials. So we're looking at having, for a couple of the games, or maybe 3 games during the season, we're asking people from a certain floor to bring something for a potluck. And we will provide, we're going to provide the beverages. I believe we're going to look into that. We're going to provide the beverages and the plates and napkins, but all you need to do is bring a favorite hot hors d'oeuvre, or cold hors d'oeuvre, or any type of thing that you want to bring for that. And I'll be working with Katie on that to see which floors we'll start with. But it'll be a nice way to watch the Packer games and get dinner at Lindsay Hall. So, thanks to Polly Tarantino and Barbara Hill for their ideas for an East Castle Place scavenger hunt. Now, this is the first scavenger hunt that we've had at least in a quarter, probably 25 years, because I've been here for 26 years and we've never had a scavenger hunt. So, in the beginning of November, you're all going to be challenged to the first East Castle Place scavenger hunt. Find things throughout East Castle Place that you might not know where they are, and we'll have a couple winners that we'll put into the drawing. So, some of these are some pretty interesting things. I'm tempted to ask you a couple questions. One of them is if you know where the smoking green man is. The smoking green man. And you don't know where that is? If you look in your mailroom, there's a mug that has pens in it. And if you look at the mug, it's a green mug, and there's a man that's smoking a cigar. So we'll have, that's a hard one. We'll have easier ones too, I promise. But we might even have you call a friend if you need some hints or to this. You can give maybe Mike and myself a call, and we might give you some hints about these, because some of them are more challenging than others. I think that's everything that I wanted to mention. Are there any questions? Yes.
Yes, years ago, you would interview couples, like at 7 o'clock on an evening, and we have some very, very interesting people that I would love to see interviewed.
Okay, so what you're referring to is our creative conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We've been kind of kicking that can down the road to see if we want to do something like that. It's still in the evening or do an afternoon where it can be videotaped, but I'll check with Scott about that and see if we can do something as far as having it at 7:30, because that's when we usually had them, was after dinner. And then we could show them on channel 955 for those people that aren't available at that time.
They were so well attended.
Yeah, they were, and we had like cookies and punch afterwards, and it was a nice social gathering. I'm seeing some nodding. Okay, all I need to do is just find our first volunteers, so we'll be asking around. And if you're interested, what it is all I do is I interview you in my office a couple days before the actual, it would be an interview, but just a conversation. And so I start off with where you were born, where you grew up, what it was like back then, all the way through to what you chose to do as a career, or what it was like in your home, some traditions that you had, all the way to how you found out about East Castle Place. So if anybody is interested in that, it can be single or couples, please let me know with a telephone call or a note in my mailbox. And if nobody volunteers, I will come and find you. I will seek you out. All right? Thanks, Carolyn. Any other questions? No? Okay. If not, I can pass this over to your executive director, Tyler Gudex.
All right. Well, thank you, Laura, for all of the things. I think comment was made in resident council this morning. If you are bored, there are plenty of things to do. I think was a genre of the comment that was made. So, a couple of questions that were posed that I want to address. Also, some of the things that I put in here. So, the first one is the COVID-19. First is the update, and then a question along with that. So I'll take the question, and then I will provide the COVID-19 update for the community, which you also will receive a memo in your mailbox probably by 4 o'clock today, if I was a betting man. The question is it possible to get rapid COVID tests to avoid infected staff from infecting others while waiting for days to get results? So, I kind of understand that question, so I'll take my best guess, and if you wrote it and I didn't, please say something. But East Castle Place it does not have the supplies to provide rapid COVID tests to all residents at any given time that there is a staff member out with COVID. Again, as Mike noted, and as you know, the resident population is 100% vaccinated. Your tolerance and fight against that is as great as it can be. And by October 6th, our staff are also required to receive the vaccine in order to work here. So in the event that you were to become symptomatic or have symptoms, we ask you to isolate. And then we have the capability of doing PCR testing. However, we would also ask your physician, or rapid tests are available at CVS, right on Downer. You can get 2 for $23.99. So that is the concern of if a staff member is affected, we would do contact tracing like we've done in the past to keep those that are potentially affected, from spreading. But again, we have seen with the vaccination that the variant, even with the Delta variant, as it is spreading to those that are unvaccinated and to those that are vaccinated. If there is a breakthrough case, it is just that, a breakthrough case, as opposed to where we were a year ago when it was everybody because we were not vaccinated. So that is hopefully the answer to the question. From a COVID-19 standpoint, again, I mentioned all of our staff are required by October 6th to receive the vaccine. By November 6th, everybody has to be fully vaccinated. So again, we announced that September 1st to our employees. We have, since September 1st, made that a condition of employment here at East Castle Place. And again, that was a board of directors initiative as well as a healthcare initiative. That will, again, affect some of our staff that choose not to get the vaccine. and we are working very, very closely with all of our employees that are not vaccinated to encourage them, to show them, and to really help them understand the importance of the vaccination. And so again, if they do choose to separate, that will be their choice. Of course, we do allow for religious as well as medical exemptions, just like the flu shot. But again, we're working with those employees one-on-one. They will have stricter testing standards, and in the event that we can get rid of these, they will still have to wear them. So again, I don't foresee these going away from our employees. Even after November 6th, they'll most likely maintain, as it is a standard precaution that just helps alleviate that. But again, that is really the COVID-19 update. So again, currently no residents and no staff members. That's what you will see. We are holding staff members out due to symptoms, and then they are tested and they are held out until those tests return and their symptoms subside. Questions regarding COVID-19? Sure.
If you have a reason to test a staff member, would you not use a rapid test instead of allowing them to continue working till you get the results?
They would be held out of work. They don't work if they're symptomatic.
Well, what if they're not symptomatic and they still come up positive?
I mean, that would be, a rare occasion, but yes, a possibility. But if they're not symptomatic, there's no reason to test, right? Because otherwise we could test every day, every single person that walks through the building.
No. But you do test occasionally.
We test at least twice a week,
Okay.
and that's through a PCR test, and that's just across the board. And we contract with somebody, and that's just to ensure that we aren't missing those in that case, and that's specific to healthcare. So our skilled nursing staff and those that work, because those are the most vulnerable, as well as that's where when President Joe Biden announced that healthcare or skilled nursing homes must be fully vaccinated, otherwise we will pull your Medicare funding. That's really the push, and obviously the reason why healthcare has additional resources that we can utilize. But if you have a staff member that is symptomatic, we will have them brought in for a PCR, and then they will remain home until that result turns negative.
Yes. All staff is going to be vaccinated. First vaccine, October 5th.
6th.
6th.
Yep.
All staff.
All staff.
Okay.
So we put the umbrella over the entire campus.
All right.
So that includes your servers, that includes the maintenance and housekeeping staff, even if they don't work in the healthcare setting on a regular basis. I believe everybody's over the age of 62 here. I know that because you are contractually obligated to be that, and that's where you are part of that vulnerable population. So again, casting that umbrella as wide as we can as an effort to protect you even in the independent living side.
Thank you.
Great.
Will there be a clinic this year for the regular flu shots?
Yes, great question. As that was also on my list since Teresa Jenkins is not here. For the regular flu vaccine clinic for you as residents, I had it on one of these agendas. It is September 30th, next Thursday, from 9 a.m. to noon. CVS will be providing the vaccine. You must bring your insurance card, and that will take place in the club room. That is for our independent living residents. I again encourage you, if you're at your physician's office, I'm sure they will be able to provide it to you, but that's when CVS will be on site here for you as residents.
High dose?
It will be the high dose, at least that's what we requested. So the question was, will it be high dose? Again, that's what's recommended for, again, anybody over the age of 62. So the assumption, and again, Teresa could verify that. If you see her on Saturday, you can ask, but I'm fairly certain that it will be the high dose. It was the high dose last year, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so no change there. We'll also, again, part of employment that happened again a year or even 2 years ago, The flu vaccine is also mandatory for our staff members, again, unless the religious or medical exemption. And we are holding 3 different clinics, again, next week for our staff members, as well as then as needed. So we do have the flu vaccine for our staff as well. So again, adding that layer of protection. Also, maybe just a question that's on your mind is, well, if I have the COVID shots, should I get the flu vaccine? We've worked with our pharmacy. You can get the COVID shot as well as the flu vaccine the same day. They will not interact. And so you should rest assured, and I encourage you, based on your physician's recommendation, to get the flu vaccine as well. All right, resident satisfaction survey, show of hands. Has everybody filled out their resident satisfaction survey?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. I believe we've captured the majority. I think there may be less than 5 resident satisfaction surveys outstanding. So thank you, thank you, thank you. A deep appreciation for you taking the time to fill those out. It's your feedback that allow us to continue to change and progress and move forward with the thoughts and ideas that you have. Also lets us know what we're doing well and what we need to keep doing. And so again, know that those confidential or anonymous surveys of sorts are sent off to our third party. They tally the results. They send me a report back. I distribute that to my directors, and I will have a full summary of those results at a State of the Castle. My hope is it may be as soon as next month. Most likely it will be in November. So as soon as I have those results, I will share them with you. Again, just thank you for that. Hope everybody has their ticket as well as their gift. It was a large gift this year. By large, I mean physically large, not necessarily monetarily large. But again, we have a great Oktoberfest that I know Laura, Chef Tim, and Carlos are ready to present and prepare. I'm sure we'll have some Oktoberfest beverages, I can only assume. And so again, look forward to that. That is September 29th. Laura?
Yes.
Wednesday? Thank you. So again, just another plug, so thank you. I'm gonna kind of skip down and leave the new pendant security system, third shift security, towards the end, because I want to leave you with that, and I also want to take any questions you may have. So, with the resident question, with the new apartments, old rentals, will there be enough underground parking spaces? The question is yes. Basically, we are adding 30 apartments where previously we had 36. Will those parking spots be directly below or in the available spots that are most convenient? Cannot promise that, but I can assure you that we do have enough underground parking for everybody on the independent living side. We even have residents that are moving in with 2 cars, and so they get one, what I call primary spot, closer to their location, and the secondary spot will be in the Bradford Terrace parking garage a little bit further away. So again, they pay for both of them, and that is an option, but every resident will still have the opportunity to park underground. So, the next question, why not Morning Bistro on Sunday the 19th? Will it resume next Sunday? So I unfortunately did not have a chance to sit and check with Tim, but I assume that this question means coffee. I do not assume that this means coffee and pastries. I could be wrong, but we do serve a Sunday brunch, and that is the anticipation for instead of the continental breakfast. Now, I still believe that we should be providing coffee and water throughout the day, and that's something that we can make sure we have, and maybe that's what was lacking. But if it was that you were expecting pastries and things of that nature on Sundays.
Coffee, they told me that they only had 2 people there and they couldn't do it.
Okay, well, again, that should have been the response, because again, we have people. Although we are lean on staff, we definitely can provide some coffee. So yes, I will make sure that the coffee is out on Sunday for you all to enjoy. All right, questions about those 2 questions? All right. The other piece that's not on the agenda that I just added kind of goes in line with the new apartments, and I want to give you all just kind of an expansion or renovation update. So last month I provided kind of an update of where we were at. I'm excited to share with you where we are today. Unfortunately, I don't have slides to share. That will be next month. I should have some really cool renderings and some visualizations for you for the common areas and the new building. AG Architects is done with what they call their design documents, and so now we are in the final phase of drawings for the renovations. We are still on track to begin in April of 2022. The renovations will begin in the Bradford Terrace area. The one piece that I wanted to bring to light as the resident council made me aware of was the name of what we're branding the renovation and expansion, the water tower, right? Or what we were calling the Lake Drive Estates. Again, that name was set up so that we could specifically brand a new product that was coming to East Castle Place, new entrance fee apartments. Never did it intend to have the connotation that, you know, of what it does have, of mansions and things of that nature. In hearing your feedback and soliciting the resident council feedback, who on behalf of you said we are very opposed to the name Lake Drive Estates, I've worked with the marketing team, and we will be working through a new name for the estates. We never intended for it to be a negative connotation of sorts, and for that I apologize. But again, the names, the discussion with the council will reflect more into the historical nature of the founders of East Castle Place. And so again, it will be in line with what we call our adjectives of the contemporary, the historic, and to be named. The to be named will be named within the next 30 to 45 days. If you have ideas, please let me know. The council provided one, and it was after the council meeting. So again, if you have ideas, it will not remain the water tower. Again, that is very well branded in the community for over 20 years as assisted living. So when outside individuals are looking for assisted living, they recognize water tower as assisted living. Obviously, we're looking at independent living, and so that's where we need to rebrand that name. East Castle remains. At the end of the day, you are all East Castle Place residents, whether you live in the historic, the contemporary, the water tower, or Bradford. You're East Castle residents. And so that's really why we'll be replacing the water tower name. Just wanted to put that out there because I know it's a question that has been brought to my attention on a few different occasions, as well as your resident council. And know that when you talk with the resident council, again, those issues are brought to me, and again, that's our obligation and opportunity to work alongside you as residents. The next piece, any questions on the development updates? Again, we're moving along. Met with the Historic Preservation Committee on last Monday. They approved adding balconies to the water tower building. So that was a huge stepping stone and big piece for us. Working with our architects were there, I was there, and our LCS development, and it was interesting. I've never been to a city council meeting like that, and it was interesting to say the least. It was a fantastic experience, and I had the opportunity to say where I worked and who I was, and that I approved the alterations as they listed because they had just some minor tweaks. But they approved balconies with really no issues. It will now go to the city for its formal as a consent item for the formal stamp of approval. We've already moved ahead with the structural drawings and the drawings for the new building to be with balcony. So.
Somebody told me a while back they couldn't put them in because there's only 8-foot high ceilings, but how are they getting around that?
Our architects and our structural engineers have assured us that the balconies are able to be put on without issue.
Surface attachment, or they go under some kind of support?
Yeah. Thankfully, yeah, the question was how do they attach, and thankfully that's where we bring structural engineers and architects and and I am going back for my MBA, but it's not in that. So we're gonna leave that to the real professionals because I just put it up there with some duct tape, right? That's not gonna hold everybody. So, Mike Reaver from the back.
I think it's gonna be cantilevered support that holds them in place.
Okay. I'm just curious as a, you know. as
I don't
a
know.
Former building contractor.
Yeah. And Mrs. Galt, I didn't mean to offset that, but I'm happy to put you in touch with the people that can speak more intelligently.
I'm not curious, it's just
Yeah.
curiosity, I don't.
From my understanding, they will go into the building with steel structure. The balconies are the way they're approved is because we have them on the current contemporary. That is the balcony size. So, all right. So the new pendant security system. Hand up. I spelled pendant very wrong on the memo. I've had one individual point that out to me, but I appreciate all of you laughing and allowing me to mistakenly put that on the memo because I spelled it right one time and then I went to town and spelled it wrong the rest of the memo. Doesn't spell check do that for me? So again, self-reflection on my part, I could do a better job. But the pendant and new security system for the check-in. Everybody should have their help buttons installed in their bathrooms as a replacement for the alerts. You should also have one check-in button in your unit that will allow us to know you are up and at 'em each day from between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Press that button, we're good to go. If you do not press that button between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., you'll receive a call from our lovely front desk. If you do not answer that call, we will physically go to your apartment to check that you are not on the floor or otherwise, and that you are up for a cup of coffee, which is always our hope. That is why those letting us know when you are out of the building is going to be very important for your safety and security. So again, to check. Yes, Ms. Cole.
Both of us have to push buttons and they don't.
No, just one. I assume that if Mr. is on the floor, you'll let us know. Again, maybe I'm wrong to
Maybe
assume.
I'm walking the dog and he's.
Right, and again, maybe I should ask my wife after this morning. She'd probably say, yeah, he's on the floor with me. But no. So yes, it's just one check-in per unit, per couple. If you're a single person, we just kind of run with that assumption. The pendants are going to be distributed on Monday. Again, with the laughs, I assumed you received the memo, which again is kind of why I put those. No, I'm just kidding. You will receive your pendants in the club room on Monday. The historic has a designated time, and the contemporary has a designated time. It's just to alleviate the rush. If one of those times works and you walk past, you see nobody there, I'm sure Jake or Teresa or Maureen will say, hey, come on in, we'll give you your pendant, we'll check you off. We just want to make sure that we get your old pendant back. Right now, we are monitoring both systems. The reason we are monitoring both systems is A, we want to make sure the help buttons are working, but also that B, you have the pendant and that we are clear in that transition time frame. So our staff are monitoring both the pager and the new RCare phone. And the RCare phone alerts us when somebody presses the help button, which again, that does ring. And the system is stronger in the fact that there's an escalation to it. And so if after 10 minutes somebody doesn't respond, it goes to a whole other set of users. And then after 30 minutes, it goes to a whole other set of users. So again, it's adding that protection in case that nurse or first responder is unable to get there because they're dealing with their own. There's a secondary level to make sure that says, okay, I can go up and I can make sure that the resident is okay. If it gets to the third level in 30 minutes, I'm on that. And again, I can't provide first aid, but I can definitely go up to a unit and make sure the resident is okay and or call 911. At least then we've seen it and heard it. The pendant system that you currently have does not allow for that. And so on Monday, when you receive that new pendant system, that will be the same procedure. So on Monday, please return your pendant that you currently have, and you will receive a brand new pendant. Once you receive that new pendant, that's all you use, right? In emergency situations. Again, you'll all receive one at no cost. If unfortunately you lose that or something of that nature, there is a cost associated with the replacement. The system also then better triangulates where you are on the campus to be more specific, so from a location standpoint. It also puts the entire campus on one concurrent life safety system. And so we've been utilizing this in the health center for over 5 years. We've been utilizing it over in the water tower assisted living for over 3 years, and now for you will be our fresh start, so to speak. It is a tried and true system. Our Care is the name of it. ClearPath Technologies is the one that's doing the installation and our technology support. We have two super users trained as we speak, and that will go up to 5 to 6 super users throughout the course of the next 2 weeks. Basically, that means we can go in, we can run reports, we can do all sorts of stuff in the background. Nothing you have to be concerned with, but know that this was a needed system to increase the security and safety of you while here at East Castle Place. The check-in system, I know that there's been questions, is it mandatory? Do I have to? And it is. And if you do not, and you are adamant about not doing it, you, myself, and Teresa will sit down and we'll talk about the reasons why, and then essentially you will be signing a risk agreement holding East Castle Place with minimal liability in the event an event were to happen in your apartment. The check-in system allows us to know that you are okay. It's a security feature that when you're over, again, the age of 62, I don't mean to keep coming back to that, but again, there's a risk, right? And we don't want somebody that's fallen to lie on the floor for 3 days, which unfortunately has happened. It will be no more than 24 hours, because if they press the button at 6 a.m., I guess it could be longer than 24, but no longer than 30 hours. They press the button at 6 a.m. and they fall at 7, and they don't have their pendant, and they aren't, nobody can hear them. At 10 o'clock the next day, when they don't check in, they'll get a phone call. They don't answer that, then we're back going physically into the unit. That is why the check-in button is there. That is why we want you to utilize the check-in button each and every day. It is not a help button. It will not make anybody respond to you when you push it. The only way you know it works is when you don't get a phone call or you don't get a knock on your door. But know that a report is run roughly at 10:15 that the front desk will monitor, and then we'll have staff check in if you don't use that check-in button. Questions with the new life safety system for you all? Judy.
When do we start using it?
So you can use the help buttons right now, which we've had. So in your bathrooms,
Check-in.
the check-in, we'll start that on Monday with the pendants. Get in practice now. It's no harm. It's live. We can check in, please start getting in the habit of pressing it, but we'll actually start monitoring that on Monday with the pendants.
Can you get a watch instead of a pendant?
Yes. The only issue is there's a slight delay in getting those. They're on order. We do have the wristlets on order, but they did not come with the system. They're trying to expedite those so that we have those on Monday. The initial pendants will just have the cord. So again, I know that many of you are used to just wearing the cord. Again, we'll work with you to make sure that you get the way in which it'll be easiest for you to utilize.
I'm just wondering about staffing. Who will you have checking on all these people that haven't checked in by yet?
Well, we're hoping that there's not a lot, because hopefully you will remember and get in the routine. We know next week is going to be, a lot more, and hopefully, you call and pick up the phone. The other thing is if the front desk receptionist sees Carolyn walking around at 8 o'clock and she didn't press her button,
Oh, the other staff.
yeah, we can make some assumptions. But again, we're really hoping that you do that and press your check-in button. Also, if there's a private duty caregiver, obviously they can press the button for them. And if we see a trend where we're forgetting to use the check-in button, that might give us a touch point to have another chat with making sure that everybody's safe. But right now, it's the front desk that will monitor that report and make the phone calls. And then right now, it's Teresa Jenkins that will do kind of the walking around and checking door to door. And again, if it's a person that consistently is on that list and consistently is in their apartment and they just say, I keep forgetting, that will just be another conversation and an opportunity for us to make sure you're okay. So.
Thank you.
And we do have weekend support as well. So again, it will be at different times, but we'll be monitoring that. Any other questions? Yes.
Is the pendant operative outside of your apartment, for example, in the garage or out walking the sidewalk?
Great question. So the question was, is the pendant operable outside of East Castle Place? Eric and I will verify that. It is operable in the garage, in your interior courtyard, in the gazebo area, and it should triangulate your position. We have pressed it on Downer Avenue, and it does ping to the closest access point. It's good upwards. We're told 50 yards, actually a little bit outside of that, but you can be confident in knowing that inside East Castle Place it will work. If you press it at Sundex, it will not. Joe.
This is a different topic, but do you have an update on the booster shot?
Good question. So Joe had the question about the booster shot. I do not have an update. I consistently continue to hear it's the Pfizer booster, and I know that when working with our pharmacy, and I've reached out to CVS on when they're able to provide them, and they have not given me dates yet. So again, I'll make a note of that, and I'll make sure to follow up. Hopefully I might be able to have that by the flu clinic season, or flu clinic on Thursday. So I can
People are
provide
getting
an
the
update.
Moderna.
They are getting the Moderna?
Yep.
Where?
At CVS and Walgreens and other places.
And it's the Moderna?
Yep.
Because I have an employee that can't find the second dose of Moderna.
No, okay.
So, more to come there. So thank you for that. I think. Okay. And then lastly is just, there was a question regarding third shift security. The resident council and I chatted about that today as well, and what their duties are and what we've done. So 3.5 years ago, we changed from a front desk receptionist overnight to a third shift security guard. That third shift security guard does do rounds on the building. Eric mentioned it, checking the gates and things of that nature. It also, if when they lock the doors, the security guard has to physically go and let somebody in after hours. And so that was a change that was made. I know that there is some residents that feel strongly that somebody should be monitoring 24/7 at that front desk. The question, and I guess the caveat to that is, security is there for roughly, at least 4 hours a shift on average. Yes, they are walking around the perimeter. Yes, they have other tasks, including responding to emergencies, because again, that was something that the front desk receptionist didn't do, and then it was reliant upon the nurse in the health center that responded. So now we're doubling that piece, which I felt was very important for the safety and security. The other piece, and again, it was more to make sure that my loved one doesn't leave. Again, as an independent living community, if that's a concern, I think we need to make sure we do our parts in making sure that safety is there. And so again, we want you to feel secure. You can walk out those doors. You cannot walk back in them without a key, just like a visitor cannot walk in without being let in. But we are not set up to necessarily hold you in, even after hours. Again, you're independent, and again, that is your right in your home Just like when you left your home, you would lock the door, but when you walked out, you didn't unlock your door. So again, the third shift security has increased our flexibility in allowing for emergency response overnight, as well as the overnight perimeter types of walks to ensure that things are locked. And again, Eric works with the team to make sure that is happening on a consistent basis. So I just wanted to touch on that as it was a resident question, and it was wanted to address that. But again, it's been nearly 3.5 years of how that system has changed. Yes?
When is the third shift? What hours?
11 to 7.
Thank you. 10:30 to 7. I wanted to say 11 to 7, but I know they come in.
Half-hour overlap with the receptionist at the beginning of the shift for communication, safety, and things like that.
Yes?
Security is very important, and a big job for the security people. Why are they removing garbage? How can you do 2 jobs at once?
So the question is, how can you do 2 jobs at once in removing garbage? So as each of you know, you have garbage cans on your floors, right? Trash rooms. So part of walking the campus is being able to do that. And they are able to then take the trash from the hallway, down the hallway, to make sure everything's okay in that hallway. Again, when the wash cans are washed out, there's 2 security guards on that evening, because that is a larger task. But essentially, they're always carrying in a phone, an emergency phone and pager, and they know that their priority is that. So in the event that somebody pushes the alert button on the front door or in the apartment, they don't just keep taking the trash out, they stop what they're doing, of course. Again, we saw that there was time overnight as we looked into it more, and more efficiency and effectiveness. And so that's the reason why, in talking with security guards, they appreciate it to a degree at times, because it's not just sitting, and it's something for them to do. So that is the reason why they are doing garbages.
That's almost a full-time job, carrying the garbage out or outside, back in. Yeah.
Judy?
But I don't know if everybody knows that if you call the front desk at night, it goes to their pager.
Correct.
So it's not like they're out of touch with what's
Right.
going on.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you can press your pendant, and wherever they are in the building, they'll respond. They also, again, sometimes we have missed in forwarding the phone, because they do carry a phone as well, correct, Eric?
They do.
So again, they should forward that phone so that they still can able to be picked up. I do know that has been a question and a concern on occasion. Reception isn't the greatest in this building, so they may miss it that way, but on the whole, that is something that, again, the emergency phones in that system is very strong throughout this campus. That works on Wi-Fi. The cell phone works on a wireless signal from our providers. So I wanted to just address a few of the items that I know were more present in everybody's mind. Again, not the easiest topics to address, but that's okay. Again, maybe there may be further questions, and of course I'll be here to answer any of those. But yes, sure.
I have one, I'm sorry. I wondered if the care providers from outside, the people are private caretakers, are they required to be vaccinated?
So the question is, are care providers, the private duty caregivers, required to be vaccinated? We are working with our home health partners. They right now are not mandating, and again, it's primarily due to labor. They also haven't been, said that their funding is going to get pulled, so that hasn't really been the incentive for them. And from a private preferred duty method, that is the relationship between the resident and that private duty person. However, Teresa, myself are having those conversations on a consistent basis, and of course encouraging both residents as well as those private duty caregivers to be vaccinated. I can tell you that I know at least, I would say a strong 5 to 10 private duty caregivers that are here consistently are vaccinated. The reason I know that is because we vaccinated them, because we opened it up to them. So, but that is at this point not a requirement that we're focused on. We're focused on our own staff. I'd say give me, less than 30 days and maybe that does become a requirement. But right now I'm very focused on making sure we can retain our staff and making sure we have staff to care for you. So, any other questions? Augie.
And the date of the pendant swap, one more time?
Sure. The pendant swap is Monday in the club room. Contemporary is 9 to 11. Historic is 1 to 3. But if you walk past and you have your pendant and you see Jacob will be the one that'll be distributed along with Teresa or Maureen. Feel free to stop by. They'll have your list and they'll get you taken care of. Just trying to designate the times so that we keep everybody away from the mad rush, so to speak. Yes?
If we want one of those wrist pendants,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have any,
We'll make a note.
so you just say we want one of those.
Right, but the pendant is the same. You'll still receive your pendant regardless that day.
Okay.
It'll just not have the wristband because I don't want to go back and say, we're waiting for the wrist, and so we have to continue monitoring 3 systems, or 2 systems rather. So again, you will receive your pendant.
Okay.
I will ask you to turn your old pendant in just in case for some reason you have one laying around and all of a sudden you need it, you press it, and, just taking that away. But yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I know I've gone well over the 2 o'clock hour. I apologize. I thank you for all your questions. I will be here. I wish you a wonderful start to autumn. I think the weather is definitely kind of crisp in the air. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.